Yes, student, this is Kamruna, your physics means. Today I am going to discuss about chapter 13, modern physics and electronics. The topic that will be discussed today is radio. Okay, now we are going to the next slide. What is radio? Radio means sending energy with waves. Electrons rushed up and down the transmitters, shooting out radio waves. These are basic characteristics of radio waves. The radio waves travel through the air at the speed of light. When the radio waves hit a receiver, they make electrons vibrate inside it, creating the original signal. So we are getting the information about radio wave. Radio means sending energy with waves. Electrons rush up and down the transmitter, shooting out radio waves. The radio waves travels through the air at the speed of light. When the radio waves hit a receiver, they make electrons vibrate inside it, and recreating the original signal. Now radio. When someone speaks on the microphone, in the studio of a radio broadcast station, the radio is converted into electrical wave signals. Range sound frequency that we hear from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So, the electrical wave signal that we get from the sound signal will be the frequency of this range. Otherwise, we cannot hear the sound if it is below 20 Hz or beyond 20,000 Hz. Then we cannot hear the sound. It must be within this range. So, when someone speaks on the microphone in the studio of a radio broadcast station, the sound is converted into electrical wave signals. The range sound frequency that we can hear from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So, the electrical wave signal that we get from the sound signal, okay, that will be within the range of 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. That is our hearing range. So radio sound signals are merged with high frequency wave for transmission. You have to know that when someone speaks before the microphone, then the sound is converted into electrical wave signals. We can hear the sound of frequency from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So the electrical wave signals obtained from the sound wave must be within that range. These signals are merged with high frequency wave for transmission, and such high frequency waves are called carrier wave. So our sound signal is mixed with high frequency wave, that is known as carrier wave. Okay, then the process of increasing or decreasing the amplitude of received wave merged with carrier wave is known as AM or amplitude modulation. Okay, the process of increasing or decreasing the amplitude of received wave merged with carrier wave. This is carrier wave and received wave means sound wave. The process of increasing or decreasing the amplitude of the received wave merged with carrier wave is known as amplitude modulation. If the modulation occur in amplitude, then it is known as AM or amplitude modulation. Or if the amplitude is kept unchanged and the frequency modulation is changed, then this process is called FM or frequency modulation. And this process, when carrier wave is mixed with sound signal or the real sound, that is known as normal modulation. Okay, when signal are merged with high frequency wave for transmission with carrier wave, that is known as modulation. And if the modulation occur in amplitude, then it is called AM or amplitude modulation. And if the modulation occur in case of frequency, then it is called frequency modulation. So we are getting the information about AM and FM. Now I am again telling the sound signals are merged with high frequency waves for transmission. Such high frequency waves are called carrier wave, and this merging process is known as modulation. This process of merging is known as modulation, and if the process of modulation goes on in amplitude, then it is known as amplitude modulation. And if the process goes on in case of frequency modulation, then it is known as FM. Okay. Now the radio. The process of merging with carrier waves is called modulation. The modulated wave is amplified by an amplifier. With the help of an antenna, the modulated wave is transmitted. This is the transmission of radio wave. Here the original sound, here is the transducer or microphone, encoder, transmitting antenna, and here is the amplitude modulation and here is the frequency modulation. This is the antenna that is always attached to the receiving machine, and here is the tuning. The tunes oscillates but broadcast, decoder, audio amplifier, then electrical signal output that is reproduced sound and transducer speaker. This is the basic transmission of radio wave. I am again telling this is original sound, this is microphone, this is encoder, transmitting antenna, amplifier. That means here the total situation occur through amplifier and modulation also occur. AM and FM occur here, receiving antenna, then the receiver, tuning occur, decoder occur, and audio amplifies. Now electrical output through reproduced sound and transducer speaker. Now radio. The electromagnetic wave or radio waves travel a long distance either as ground waves or reflected waves from the ionosphere of the atmosphere. We know that atmosphere has different sphere. One of the name of the important sphere is ionosphere. So the radio wave reflected from the ionosphere of the atmosphere. So we are getting the information about the radio wave that it can travel a long distance. Now the antenna at the receiver converts the radio waves into electrical wave. Look at the figure. The antenna is changing the radio wave into electrical signal. Now, with the help of necessary electrical instruments, the desired wave is separated from the carrier wave. This process is known as demodulation. Okay, when we separate the carrier wave from the desired wave, then it is known as demodulation. And when we merge the desired wave with the carrier wave, that is known as modulation. Okay, so what is demodulation? We are getting the information to separate desired wave from the carrier wave. Now, this demodulated electrical signal is amplified by an amplifier and sent to the speaker for listening. This is the last stage of radio when we hear the sound from the speaker. Okay, this is the basic elements of radio communication system. Look at the figure. This is the microphone and radio frequency oscillator. This is the modulator. and the transmission is going on aerial position. This is total the sending process. This is the sending process, okay, or transmitting process. And this is the total receiving process. Transmitter, this is transmitter and this is receiver. And this is receiving tower or receiving antenna, tuned circuit, demodulator, amplified, then loudspeaker. This is the figure of basic elements of radio communication system. This is transmitter and this is receiver. Now, what is radio broadcasting? Radio broadcasting is transmission of audio by radio waves intended to reach a wide audience. This is a simple definition. What is radio broadcasting? Radio broadcasting is the transmission of audio by radio waves intended to reach a wide audience. Radio broadcasting stations use individual frequency to transmit their wave. Okay, different station use different frequency. Receiver device tuned at a certain frequency to listen specific station. Different radio station can broadcast their own program because they have certain frequencies, so they can use their own program, and listener can tune to the program of a specific station as per choice. Okay, when they tune, they got the specific frequency, and they easily hear the choiceable program. So this is the broadcasting of radio. Learning from the lesson. Electrical signal obtained from sound signal within the range of 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Without this range, we cannot hear any sound. Then, modulation occurs. Modulation means merging with carrier wave. Carrier wave means high frequency wave that is mixed with or merged with the sound that we create before the microphone. Then amplified occur by an amplifier to the modulated wave. So we get these 3 points. First, the range should be 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Then modulation occur. Then amplification occur. Then receiver converts radio waves into electrical wave. So the fourth one is the receiver converts radio waves into electrical waves. Then demodulation occurs. Demodulation means separation of desired wave from carrier wave. Then amplification occurs by an amplifier, then sent for listening. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps of radio broadcasting. And in these 7 steps, there are 2 amplification occur. First one is the amplification of modulated wave, and second one is the amplification of the demodulated wave. Demodulated wave means separation of desired wave from the carrier wave. So I thought that it is clear how the radio broadcasting occurred. So thank you everybody. Best of luck.